Hey everyone, today I wanted to provide a little bit of a clarification regarding the upcoming Monster Hunter Rise release for PlayStation and Xbox consoles. And that is the fact that I've seen a lot of people take to social media and simply ask when are pre-orders going to go up for this physical release of this highly expected game that is almost surprisingly being dropped out of nowhere for current gen and last gen consoles on PlayStation and Xbox side of things. And it turns out that it seems like there will be no physical release made available by Capcom this time around for either PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, or Xbox Series S and X consoles. This is something that was kind of like hidden out of nowhere in all the media information that they provided the day that they confirmed this release. And a lot of people had been wondering just exactly what was going on. I believe the first place that got the direct confirmation that there weren't going to be physical releases was Amatsu. They put up a tweet mentioning that Capcom has confirmed to Amatsu that Monster Hunter Rise for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One will be digital only. No physical editions are currently planned. Soon after, it was also confirmed by Game Rant, IGN, and different sources as well. Even Game Informer went ahead and provided their own version of an article simply confirming what Gematsu had already provided, that there simply is going to be no physical version on the PlayStation and Xbox side of things, which has taken, I guess, some people by surprise, but also some are still wondering just what is going on. Maybe like pre-orders aren't necessarily live yet. Maybe they're going to be going live later or something like that. But it just seems like there's not going to be any physical release whatsoever. I've seen a lot of people wonder if there's going to be maybe an Asian release that they could go ahead and import for PlayStation and Xbox. Usually you see this happen rather often for the Nintendo Switch. A physical release isn't made available here in North America or maybe in Europe, but then of course here comes Asia to the rescue, and they end up providing some sort of version that has English support, and of course that version ends up getting imported by pretty much a lot of people through Play Asia and different stores, digital storefronts, for you to be able to go ahead and ultimately get a physical version of the game. So this has happened on the Nintendo Switch multiple times. This time around for the PlayStation and Xbox release, that doesn't seem to be the case. So it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get, at the very least, a physical release as of now. There is a mention here on the, I believe, the Game Rant article that they provided, that they do make mention that maybe places like limited run games could potentially do a physical release down the road. We have seen them do releases for high profile games that just simply didn't get a physical release at launch. Maybe that's something that they could go ahead and provide at a later date. Obviously, they would have to work out some sort of deal with Capcom. So it's not like we're making any sort of promises here. I don't think Game Rant is suggesting that either, but they are saying that this could potentially be, of course, a possibility made available at a later date. What I've seen other people suggest as well is that, of course, because this is just a base release of Monster Hunter Rise, maybe Capcom would probably consider releasing a bundle of base Rise and Sunbreak together when Sunbreak finally officially drops on PlayStation and Xbox on spring of next year. Maybe they'll provide one complete bundle there, of course, overcharge you for it, maybe try to even charge you $70 on PlayStation 5, which would be hilarious. But at the same time, they could probably go about that route and provide both games finally a complete version of the game. And, you know, maybe people will be able to bite into that if they're really interested in having a physical release version of that. What I would suggest people to kind of like consider, if you will, when it comes to that bundled Sunbreak plus base Monster Hunter Rise release is that maybe take the Nintendo Switch version as a precaution. Remember that on the Nintendo Switch, we did get, in fact, a physical release of Monster Hunter Rise, a Sunbreak, on the Nintendo Switch physically, but the catch was that, of course, in the cart itself, all you had was just base Monster Hunter Rise. The cart itself actually just had the sticker for base Monster Hunter Rise. It was a repurposed cartridge from the normal versions of base Monster Hunter Rise that were sold originally a year prior, and they added a downloadable voucher, little sticker, paper, whatever, for you to go ahead and be able to download Sunbreak as a voucher. You didn't actually have full access to both on the cartridge at the same time. You needed to be able to hit the eShop to be able to download and use the voucher included. So of course, this cuts back down on like resale value, if you will, or like used copies. If you want to like eventually sell your Sunbreak version, well, you're not selling Sunbreak, you're just selling base Rise on a box that says Sunbreak as well. So, you know, that's how Capcom has been treating that. They've been doing that with like Mega Man They did that with pretty much all the Resident Evil physical releases on the Nintendo Switch. So maybe that is, take that as a precaution that Capcom is just not really going to provide any real full complete version of Rise and Sunbreak together for any version of the game, whether it is on the Nintendo Switch, whether it is on PlayStation or even Xbox. Hopefully that changes in the future. Hopefully we end up seeing a full physical release, maybe on PlayStation consoles only. I don't know if Xbox fans would be buying physical since they mostly rely on digital as it is. Also, remember, it's going to be available on Game Pass, so you don't necessarily see a lot of people buying it on Xbox, since if you already have the subscription, 25 million strong based on the numbers that I've seen. So why would you even bother? You could just buy Sunbreak at that point digitally on your own, and you don't necessarily need to be worried about it. So when I say in the title of this video that Capcom is going full on digital, this is pretty much the beginning of that. We do know that just pretty much every single major game that they are developing in the last few years has been planned already for PC. We know that PC players and the PC audience has been 100% digital for years now. This has been a thing going back almost a decade, if not longer. So when it comes to just consoles, I believe they're starting to catch up, and I wouldn't necessarily rule it out that in the near future, whatever the next mainline Monster Hunter game is, whether that is Paradise, whether that is World 2, whatever the title that they're going to choose to do. I know a lot of people have pushback to Paradise. I don't know why they're allergic to that title, but whatever the title is of the next mainline Monster Hunter game, it wouldn't surprise me if they actually choose to go full digital based on just the precedents that they are currently setting. There's no real reason, especially when it comes to PlayStation, since we do know that printing discs for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 is relatively cheap. There's no real high expense to it, and they're not even choosing to do that. Xbox is a little more tricky since they need to get Xbox rights and stuff like that sorted out. But when it comes to PlayStation, this is why you see a lot of games making their way physically onto PlayStation that you simply would have seen just made available on the PlayStation Store. Usually they end up getting a physical release through just a disc manner on PlayStation 4 version specifically, because not only that's the most sold console over the PlayStation 5, of course, has been out for way longer, but more importantly, the print cost is relatively small. Unlike the Nintendo Switch, where the cartridges are relatively high, and the developers and publishers just simply don't want to have that cost. And Capcom has been very adamant in choosing to just put digital codes in paper and put it in the box instead of just actually making that available in the cartridge. So, maybe take that as a consideration going into the future, where Monster Hunter is just going to be digital going forward, and if they choose to go live service and open world, my goodness, people are gonna panic. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.